Okay, sweet. So, hi, I'm Kira Sano. I'm a freshman at USC, double majoring in environmental studies and NGO social change. I'm here today to kind of talk about my experience utilizing our world's forced physical distancing as an opportunity to reach and engage new audiences, reimagine our definition of communities, and serve as a beacon of hope and a platform of change during a time where we can feel definitely very powerless. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about how I've had to transition my work with the American Cancer Society virtual within the span of a month. And I'm going to share to you guys mainly my story with this and introduce you to my community. Okay. Over the years, I've had a lot of family and friends who have battled cancer or have been a caregiver themselves. But I still remember when I heard this dreaded C word for the first time. Although I was a third grader and I didn't really understand what cancer meant, I knew that my mom's life was at stake. The next day, I brought fancy stationery to my classmates so they could write letters to my mom. I enthusiastically brought home this stack of letters, resulting in her first smile since her diagnosis. This day was the first of many where I realized the impact that I can make with the smallest of actions. So, honestly, when my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time, I felt utterly hopeless. Over the years, I couldn't stop her, initially only a brain cancer tumor, from worsening and spreading. No matter what I did, she would still wake up with pain every day, and I wanted to do more than just be a supportive daughter. So I joined my school's Relay for Life, a community-based fundraising event hosted by the American Cancer Society. So if you've never heard of Relay, here's some pictures from my high school's Relay. Hopefully it all came out. Relay for Life is a truly unique event that differs in every community, but focuses on celebrating cancer survivors and caregivers, remembering those who were lost, and fighting back against a disease that has already taken too much. For my high school, it was a 24-hour event planned by students that raised about $100K a year and was a well-established event in our community and an integral part of our school. I still remember kind of talking to all of these different high schoolers. It really was a really impactful event within our community just because we had so many cancer survivors, cancer caregivers come there and share their story. But my favorite, most impactful moment was definitely during the luminaria ceremony. I still remember my freshman year when I saw the ceremony for the first time. As you can see, there are a bunch of well-lit bags around the track at night, and these are decorated kind of paper bags in honor of someone who you've lost to cancer, someone who is still battling cancer, or a caregiver. And I remember looking at my mom's one and walking down the track with her and realizing that I really had a community behind me and realizing the impact that an individual, even a high schooler, could have by just being a part of something bigger than themselves. So over the next 3 years, Relay and the American Cancer Society became a huge part of my life. I remember right after the ceremony, I signed up for the leadership team, and there started my journey. It was through this that I not only found a way to fight back, support others, and it was also a way for me to be a part of the cancer community and grow in a lot of different ways. I felt empowered through this to take more leadership over everything in my life. And eventually, when I was a senior, which was only last year, as you all know, we all had to kind of transition virtual. We were in the middle of planning our event only a month before the event, and I just remember like that day. I think we all can. Besides beginning to worry about my immunocompromised family's health, that day I remember coming out of a Relay for Life meeting disheartened after announcing to my event leadership team that we would have to transition our relay virtual. And it was just this overwhelming kind of fear and disappointment from people that I consider my second family. And they were just honestly very, very lost. And with all the other things that were going on in the world, they felt that honestly it was better to just kind of do a quick thank you video and cancel the event. But I knew, and through this, I just had a panel, by the way, about this. We have such a impactful community with Relay for Life, and there were so many people that were kind of depending on this event, and I knew that in the end of the day, we would not falter. Like with COVID-19, we wouldn't let COVID-19 stop our fight against cancer. And I knew I would have to reframe my mindset quickly to get others excited and connect to our community. I was reminded of the same feelings of helplessness that I felt before I joined. And instead of cowering, I knew we would fight back even stronger. So instead, kind of reframing this to an opportunity to do things we'd never done before. You know, we were limited to that physical event just at our high school before, but now with an online event, we could reach audiences that were previously limited. And so I started to kind of reimagine Relay and reimagine what our community meant. So we decided to call it Relay Where You Are instead of Relay for Life to kind of symbolize people relaying where they are, continuing the fight against cancer. I spent the next 2 weeks just researching online activities in my room, planning out a schedule minute by minute, contacting other events, reaching out to hundreds of participants personally. Kind of bothered them a little bit, texting them, but it's fine. Learning to build a website, learning to film and edit videos, building a Minecraft server, all random stuff. But I also made sure to kind of keep the rest of my team in check. I personally reached out to a lot of the team members, making sure that they were doing okay and that they felt safe. And kind of during this time of uncertainty, it was really important that we maintained our sense of community. And then honestly, like going back to the idea of toxic positivity, I kind of did have a little bit of a burnout. Right before we had the event announcement, I had a lot of worries, and I was really scared if this would be received at all and if we'd be able to pull this off. But after the new event announcement video, we ended up getting actually a lot of excitement and traction for our event. We had some recruitment activities and activities and other things. And before, when we were limited to our school, we instead got a lot of people from other schools. We had relayers from across the nation reaching out to us. We ended up getting recognized in our local news just for a simple event announcement. And that was kind of when I realized like how a single person or how a single seed of hope can really trickle onto others. And this also kind of served as a turning point for my leadership team. And kind of after seeing how this was received, they realized that they wanted to get involved too. So they started spending their countless weekends and afternoons on call, just working, kind of figuring out new programs. They were very much thrown outside of their comfort zone in projects, yet they managed to adapt to the platforms and tasks quickly. I had them call hundreds of thousands of participants and check on them to get them re-registered. We contacted a bunch of companies. They decorated gorgeous Luminaria bags again, and they held a bunch of opportunities and did everything at the last minute. And in addition, we got many new volunteers and participants who had never been a part of Relay before. And this was because we were able to engage them in new platforms like Minecraft. That was one of my highlights of the event. And they got to use their game design skills to figure out moderation. Just a little explanation with this. We recreated the school, which we had like maybe 20 or so just random kids coming on until like 3 a.m. decorating and recreating our school and track. And you can see kind of there, they had like the tents, which they made really cool. Like they made like Japanese themed ones, and they created their own world. They created their own everything. And they did it in a kind of theme of like cancer education. So they decorated like cancer cells as like iron golems, and they would fight them. And it was just incredible to see the amount of creativity and effort that people who had never been engaged with Relay did, just because we had opened a new avenue for them. I honestly think that this was one of the most memorable moments, just because it was a way for us to kind of see how the community could really come together. Our team worked incredibly hard, and it definitely showed after then. Even though we faced a lot of logistical issues, our team handled it with grace and quickly worked together to tackle every logistical problem we had. We had a 7-hour event filled with speakers, student performers, team building activities, and opportunities to really fight back against cancer. And we ended up raising $73,844.87 and having over 1,600 viewers. People really loved the event. They reached out and said that this was one of their favorite events because of the impactful ceremonies, the engaging events, and the fact that they could share this with their other family members who had had cancer or were caregivers themselves. And after this, we ended up getting a bunch of applications for our leadership team. And honestly, the people that I've met through this experience, they are my closest friends right now. We had so many bonding experiences. At the night before, I was honestly freaking out again. And I was editing a 7-hour ceremony for a very long time. And instead of letting me be alone, half of the event leadership team, which is about like 10 students or so, pulled the all-nighter for me. We were there from like 10 p.m. to the next morning, which was at 12 a.m. when it started, and they just stayed on and kind of kept the spirits going. And this kind of example of this event and our community, like, we served as models for the rest of the world. Our material from our events was used in other events, and we really continued to share our story and become a model. Also, more importantly, kind of going back to the idea of the Luminaria ceremony, this was a way for us to kind of have this again and remember and fight back and connect us again. So kind of going into what I learned from this experience, I've taken the optimistic mentality that I've developed through this event into kind of everything that I do. With the ACS Now, I've worked on many projects virtually, taking this as an opportunity to connect and create a high school network of ACS volunteers and rewriting our organization system. I've also taken this mentality with other organizations I'm involved in, including virtual college counseling in underserved communities and remote teaching opportunities. But honestly, throughout this whole journey, I've learned so much about turning issues into opportunities, the power of community, and how to maintain friendships. The amount of personal growth this year has been incredible. Specifically, this work ethic has helped me with my college life, and it has helped me choose my major, which is NGOs and social change. And honestly, I recognize that it's been incredibly hard to have a positive mentality, and it's not something that's very feasible. I've definitely had those low moments, as I've mentioned. But this year, I think the thing that's been helping me is realizing that it's okay to kind of take a break. You need to be strong to kind of take care of the people that you love and to do the things that you need to do. And it's really important to appreciate the things that you've been doing, spend time doing the other things that you love, and really just focus on yourself a lot. And I think that it's really important to kind of believe in the power of people and the power to incite change. Time and time again, we have shown that there is a resilience and power behind communities, mainly because it only takes one spark of hope to ignite communities. And yeah, it has been a pleasure to talk with all of you and share my story. Thank you all so much.